3 times they stabbed her heart. 3 times they burned her alive. And 3 times she came back. The gods stood in stunned silence as the flames died down. The woman, gold bright, unbroken, rose from the ashes like dawn after a nightmare. This was not a monster. This was not a demon. This was Freya, or someone wearing her face. And in that moment, the cosmos cracked, because what the gods did next would ignite the first war ever fought among the gods themselves, a war that would reshape Norse mythology forever. A war not fought over land, not over power, but over desire, magic, and a woman who refused to be controlled. But to understand why Freya's presence was so dangerous, we must first look at the world before the war began.
Unveil the legends.
Before there was open war among the gods, there was balance, fragile, imperfect, but real. The Norse cosmos was divided between 2 divine families. The Æsir were gods of structure and command. They valued law, oath-keeping, warfare, and sacrifice. Odin sought knowledge at any cost. Thor enforced order with thunder and brute strength. They believed the universe must be ruled, or it would collapse into chaos. Then there were the Vanir, older than kingship, older than conquest. The Vanir governed fertility, the land, the sea, wealth, and the unseen rhythms of life. They did not rule nature. They listened to it, and among them was Freya. She was desire given thought, love sharpened into will, a goddess who did not wait to be chosen, but chose. Freya was also a master of Seiðr, a form of magic that bent fate, clouded minds, and whispered of what might be. It was magic of intuition, transformation, and surrender. To the Æsir, this was terrifying, because it could not be commanded. For a long time, these 2 divine worlds kept their distance. Different gods, different values, until one woman crossed the boundary. She arrived in Ásgarðr not as Freya, but as Gullveig. Her name meant gold drunk, and wherever she went, wealth followed. But so did hunger. Gold piled up in halls that had once valued honor. Men who once fought for glory now argued over ownership. The gods began to feel something unfamiliar stirring in their chests. Not need, want. The Æsir whispered among themselves. Was she poisoning their world, or merely revealing something already there? They watched her practice Seiðr openly. No shame, no permission asked. And that was the true crime. The gods of order could tolerate many things, but they could not tolerate a power they did not understand. So they decided Gullveig must be destroyed. They dragged her into the great hall. Spears pierced her body. Fire consumed her flesh. She screamed, but she did not beg. When the ashes cooled, the gods believed it was over. Then she stood again, whole, smiling, eyes burning brighter than before. Terrified, the Æsir repeated the execution. Again she returned. A 3rd time they burned her. And a 3rd time she rose. That was when fear hardened into certainty. This was no mortal sorceress. This was Vanir power made flesh. And worse, it was Freya's power. When word reached the Vanir, there was no debate, no counsel. The Æsir had not merely killed a guest, they had committed sacrilege. And so the old gods of fertility and fate answered with war. The sky filled with spells instead of storms. The earth itself seemed to recoil. This was not a war of heroes. It was a war of ideologies, and the universe trembled under the strain. Here is where the myth stops being simple, because the sources never clearly say Gullveig was Freya. They only imply it. Some scholars argue Gullveig was a separate sorceress, a symbolic catalyst. Others believe she was Freya under another name. Still others say Gullveig was Freya's shadow, the part of her the Æsir refused to acknowledge. And that changes everything. If Gullveig was Freya, Then the Æsir did not kill a stranger. They tried to erase a worldview. Freya embodied a dangerous truth, that power could exist without hierarchy, that desire was not weakness, that magic did not need justification. The Æsir saw this as corruption, but consider this: gold does not create greed. It reveals it. Seiðr did not break the gods. It showed them what they already wanted. In this reading, the war was inevitable, not because Freya came to Ásgarðr, but because Ásgarðr was already cracking. And the greatest irony? Odin would later learn Seiðr himself. He would endure mockery, shame, and self-sacrifice to wield the very magic he once condemned. Freya did not lose this war. She transformed it. The war dragged on until both sides were exhausted. No final battle, no decisive victory. Instead, the gods did something unprecedented. They negotiated. Peace was sealed not with gold or blood, but with exchange. The Vanir sent Freya, her brother Freyr, and their father Njara to live among the Æsir. Former enemies became honored guests. Freya took her place in Ásgarðr, not as a captive, but as a power unto herself. Half of the warriors slain in battle would come to her hall, not Odin's. She wept tears of red gold, not from weakness, but from depth. She chose lovers freely and paid no apology. And Odin? Odin came to her for knowledge. The war that began, with Freya's burning, ended with the Allfather kneeling before her wisdom. That is her legacy. You can burn truth, you can stab it, but if it is real, it returns stronger. The first war among the gods did not begin with hatred. It began with fear. Fear of desire. Fear of the unknown. Fear of a woman who could not be ruled. Freya did not start the war. She exposed the fault line beneath the divine order. So now I ask you, was Freya a destabilizing force, or the necessary balance the gods resisted? Tell me what you believe in the comments. And if you want to continue this journey, the next story dives deeper into the forbidden magic Odin stole, and the terrible price demanded in return. Because in Norse myth, knowledge is never free, and some wars never truly end.